Howdy folks, I hope you're all having a great day and welcome back to World of Warships with Rear Admiral Jingles. And honestly, today's video, this battle could just as easily have been in an episode of Game of Thrones as it could have been in Try Hard. I mean, it was pretty much a coin toss as to what the title of this video was going to be, and by the time you see the end of this battle, hopefully you'll understand and you can make your own decision. So, this is Ramison. As you can obviously tell, he's in HMS Minotaur, British Tier 10 light cruiser. He's gone for the safe option. He's in a smoke Minotaur rather than a radar Minotaur, which is a very high risk but potentially high reward choice. And as you can tell, this battle was recorded shortly after the reintroduction of submarines, hence all of the tips popping up on screen for how to deal with submarines. Which are largely irrelevant because the way to deal with submarines is to be in a battleship. Because, you know, World of Warships does pride itself on its historical accuracy, so they've modelled their surface ship and submarine interaction against what actually happened in World War II, where you had all of those battleships escorting convoys and protecting the destroyers in the North Atlantic convoy routes from submarine attacks. Hang on a minute. Now, when it was the other way around, wasn't it? Yeah, World of Warships logic. Yeah, it's just wargaming desperately trying to hammer every single square peg into every available round hole, the same way they've been doing since they reworked aircraft carriers 2 years ago. Anyway, it is what it is. They're here, whether you like them or not. So, anyway, Minotaur. It's been around a while now, not exactly a new ship. Standout features? Absolutely insane rate of fire on 10 152mm guns. The guns are in all new turrets compared to a predecessor at Tier 9, the Neptune, which have very, very high angles of elevation, which allows all of these guns to be used as dual-purpose anti-aircraft guns, which is exactly what they were designed for in reality. The turrets also rotate incredibly quickly, like so fast they put some American destroyers to shame. And the only real downside to the guns is that, like the other British light cruisers, they don't get access to high explosive ammunition, unless, you know, you're the premium HMS Belfast. But the armour-piercing shells do get improved penetration angle, which mitigates somewhat against the problem that you normally have when you're firing armour-piercing shells against an angled target, particularly an angled battleship. I mean, look at this rate of fire. It's just absurd. She also gets the same torpedoes as the Daring, which are reasonably quick, 10-kilometre range, and they hit reasonably hard. And like the British destroyers, she can ripple fire them. Instead of a wide spread and a narrow spread, it's got a narrow spread and then launch each torpedo individually. So if you're absolutely sure that you've got the right firing angle, you can basically ensure that every torpedo is going to hit the target, not just most of them. Now, things are looking pretty good here at the start of the battle, despite the extremely low health Cleveland, who's taken the opportunity to share Ramison's smokescreen. But Ramison's team have got the first 2 kills. They've knocked out the destroyer and the cruiser. And they're busy flipping 2 of the 3 caps, although the enemy team do have 1. So this is a really good start. There's no such thing as a great start that a team cannot throw away, however, as Ramison continues to rain down 152mm armour piercing. Notice his buddy in the Shimakaze, not inside the smoke screen, instead spotting targets outside the smoke for him, although the reason why he's dipping into cover here is because he knows that there's a radar cruiser closing in. Which is also the reason why, there's the radar, the reason why Ramison is also taking the hint and getting the hell out of there. The Minotaur's actually very stealthy, now that I come to think of it. It may be the stealthiest of the Tier 10 cruisers. Fully rigged for stealth, you can get the surface detection of this thing down to just a hair over 9 kilometres, which is astonishingly good, even by cruiser standards. I'm not entirely sure whether or not the Minotaur is still the stealthiest Tier 10 light cruiser. I mean, it might be. It's difficult to stay up to date, however, given how Wargaming just seem to introduce another half dozen Tier 10 premium cruisers every month. So staying up to date with who's the best at what can be, well, it can be more trouble than it's worth. She is very, very stealthy, however. Shimakaze's turn to lay the smoke, now that Ramessen's smoke has expired. And I'm expecting the Shimakaze to stay out of the smoke screen after it's been laid and pop out there in order to continue spotting targets, because these two have been working pretty well together so far. The team are comfortably ahead on points now. They still have 2 of the 3 cap circles, and they still have the only 2 kills. Shimakaze torps out. That is one very, very unlucky. I mean, everybody's shooting at him now. Cleveland's getting in on the act too. He's managed to avoid the Shimakaze torps, of course, because, you know, German will be running Hydra. But turning that way to avoid the torpedoes means that that poor old Prinz Ruprecht now has 0 chance of being able to get out of line of fire before, well, I mean, look at the amount of fire going in. So he was basically screwed if he did, screwed if he didn't. He could have continued on that course to get behind the island and out of line of fire of all the 6-inch armor piercing and high explosive being spammed his way, and he would have died to Shimakaze torpedoes, or he could have avoided the torpedoes and, well, you know, you saw what happened, so yeah. Once that Prinz Ruprecht had extended out that far on the flank, there were basically no good choices left for him, and that's now 3 kills as well as the 2 of the 3 cap circles. And a comfortable 300 point lead. And here's where things all start to go a little bit pear-shaped. First, the team loses one of their tier 10 battleships, the Grosser Kurfürst. The enemy Frederick the Great, by the way, is in no rush whatsoever to suffer the same fate that befell the Prinz Ruprecht. I mean, he's getting punished thanks to the shell arcs of the Cleveland and the Minotaur's 6-inch guns. But he is trying to back off and recover some health, and sooner or later they're going to lose sight of him. Meanwhile, the team has just lost one of those brand new, all singing, all dancing Pan-Asian cruisers. Meanwhile, Ramesson is about to get a nasty surprise, which is actually going to cut both ways, as he's thinking, hang on a second, who the hell spotted me here? Ah, there's the enemy submarine. Now, the submarine dives, of course, but he's already done the damage because the Cleveland just got spotted, and the Frederick the Great has had quite enough of being spammed with 6-inch high explosive shells. So there goes the Cleveland, and the team's Prinz Ruprecht has been sunk as well, and the enemy team are now starting to flip capture point Alpha, and are now in fact slightly ahead on points. I'm not entirely sure what this Edinburgh thinks he's doing. Maybe he's trying to lay a smoke screen for the Frederick the Great. Maybe he doesn't understand what the smoke firing penalty for battleships is like. Maybe he's trying to launch torpedoes. Maybe he doesn't understand that even if he has the upgraded torpedoes, they're out of range. Honestly, I don't know. I do know that Ramesson is determined to not let that Frederick the Great get away. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Really? No, they've got him. Right, now watch what the Edinburgh's doing. So there's a smoke screen there on the left that he can... Why are you doing that? He's committing suicide by Minotaur? Because that's what it looks like. I mean, really? I mean, Ramesson's team they just keep losing ships. So this isn't really going to... Well, it's not... Killing the Edinburgh isn't going to hurt their chances, obviously, but it's not going to be enough. Not even nearly. I mean, you know, thank you to the Edinburgh for basically doing exactly what it was that he needed to do to die to the Minotaur's guns as quickly as humanly possible. It's definitely appreciated, but they're going to need to do better than just sink in Edinburgh. The Edinburgh kill has put them slightly ahead on points, but the enemy team have a 1-kill advantage, which isn't bad for a team that started with a 3-kill disadvantage, and they're also flipping the 2 of the 3 caps that Ramesson's team had held on to since the beginning of the battle. Now, the Lepanto on the team, of all things, is in the process of flipping Charlie, but the enemy team have what looks like a Preußen, a Hipper, and is that a... No, it's a Thunderer, contesting Alpha, with basically just a Yamato there. And against that kind of opposition, what the Yamato wants to do is turn around and run away. But if he does that, he's given broadside and they will kill him. So the Yamato is basically doomed. It's just a question of how long it's going to take them to sink him, and can he take any of them with him. Meanwhile, over here, Ramesson is spotted. It has to be that submarine. And he can't sit here on his arse all day waiting for the rest of his team to die. So he motors on forward. The enemy team have flipped the central cap at Bravo. He's going to see if there's anything he can do about that. And also, that gets him out of line of sight of the submarine, which the Shimakaze is going after. I know I said going after submarines is suicide for destroyers. It's only suicide when there's, oh god, they've lost another ship. Yep, there goes the Yamato, as expected. So, 4 of them left against 6 enemies. It's suicidal for destroyers to go after submarines when submarines are spotting the destroyers for the rest of their team. Right now, that submarine, wherever he is just run out of friends. So, now the Shimakaze, and he spotted him. Go, Gadget Shimakaze, get that guy. Meanwhile, Ramison spotted again, and it's clearly not the U-190, so it must be the enemy Chungmu. The enemy team is busy flipping Alpha, now that the... oh yeah, there is the Chungmu. Hang on a second. What is... So you saw he's being chased by some torpedoes from the friendly sub. But this... Dude... You were the one who was spotting Ramison's Minotaur. Why are your guns not even pointing the right way? And the only way you're going to survive this is if you get the torpedoes off. So why is your ship not pointing the right way? Wow, really? So that happened. Again, much like with the Edinburgh earlier, I have absolutely no idea what the Chungmu thought he was going to achieve there, but we're grateful for the points. Definitely not going to argue. And a very, very convenient island here, for the moment at least, shielding Ramison from all of those other enemy ships. Now he's in radar range of the Stalingrad, which is going to be an issue, but it's not. There it is, there's the Stalingrad's radar, which is fine because he's got an island between himself and all of those enemy guns. So if he has any sense, all he has to do is wait the radar out. It looks like the Shimakaze's lost the enemy U-190, which is... Well, it's not terrible, because the U-190 isn't really going to be able to do an awful lot all the way up there. And he's never going to catch the Shimakaze, which means the Shimakaze is free to abandon the search, and that looks like that's what he's doing, and just motor on down over here and torpedo some battleships. Now, Ramison did take some damage from the Preußen over there, but that's fine, because now that the radar's expired, he can pop his smoke, wait for the friendly sub to surface again, now that the battleships have expended their airstrikes, and respot targets for him, and yep, there it is. He doesn't quite have the firing arcs to deal with the Stalingrad, which is a shame, because the Stalingrad, while it's a heavily armoured ship, it's not quite as heavily armoured as some of these battleships, and it was given a much, much better angle. But this is still good, because the Stalingrad can't shoot back. So he's in a one-on-one. In fact, it isn't even really a one-on-one. The Preußen has realised that, yeah, this is a bad idea, charging down a submarine when your airstrike's on cooldown. The Thunder has 7 airstrikes in, but I'm pretty sure they don't know exactly where that submarine is. I mean, they've got a reasonable idea. But he has survived, and now the Shimakaze's managed to get into a position where he can take over spotting for the submarine. Unfortunately, the Lepanto, who did a great job in flipping Capture Point Charlie, well, I don't know what madness was afflicting the Edinburgh and the Chungmu earlier, but it appears to be contagious, because now the Lepanto is charging straight in to a Preußen, a Hipper, a Stalingrad, and a Thunderer. You can see the Shimmertorps going out. Unfortunately, they're not going to hit much. But that Lepanto, there is no possible way he is going to survive this. The only good thing he's doing is distracting everybody's attention away from Ramison here. Not that he needs it, because he's in smoke. So he wasn't actually in any danger here at all. The only thing the Lepanto is going to do is die and give the enemy team an even bigger points lead. And he has in fact done exactly that. Then it gets worse, because the Stalingrad's radar is back up, and I'm pretty sure the Shimakaze is inside radar range. And he's probably being chased in the other direction by the U-190. And since he's now the only visible target, I mean, they can see Ramison because he's radared, but they can't actually shoot at him because he's on the other side of an island. So they're now all shooting at the Shimakaze. That's where the friendly submarine comes to the rescue. He torpedoes and kills the Stalingrad, which obviously knocks out the radar. That does save the Shimakaze's arse, and the fact that they're no longer shooting at him, in fact I can't even see any secondaries firing, would indicate that wherever the enemy U-190 is, he does not have line of sight to the Shimakaze, or if he does, he's outside of detection range. And that's really important because it means the Shimakaze is still able to spot those 4 enemy ships, and he's still able to send torpedoes in the direction of those 4 enemy ships. Although it's probably only a matter of time before he gets respotted. While he is doing the spotting, however, Ramazan, who I think only has 1 charge of his smoke screen left, has got some torpedoes away, which have unfortunately missed. And yes, the enemy is about to win. They're a kill, 2 caps, and 200 points ahead. But the Shimmer managed to land 2 torpedoes, and I'm pretty sure that Ramazan is holding his fire here because he's worried about his smoke firing penalty. But honestly, you need to kill that thing now. Too late, the Thunderer has fired. Oh no, wait, it's fine. He was firing high explosive. Well, because of course he was. Could have deleted the Minotaur in 1 salvo. Loads high explosive instead. Meanwhile, here comes the Hipper, and he's the guy with the hydro running. So the smoke isn't going to help you. But you really don't want to come around a corner giving flat broadside like that to a Minotaur. And he does at least have the armor piercing loaded, but it looks like the wreck of the Thunderer stopped at least some of the shells, and with the 100mm belt armor on the Minotaur, if you're angled, you can bounce 8-inch armor piercing shells. And just seriously, how are you eating these torpedoes? You're the one with the hydro running. And there's the high caliber reward. And is this going to be kill number 5 for the Kraken Unleashed? Hell, of course it is. Yep, there it is. Oh, yeah, that hurt. That really, really hurt. Yeah, the Preußen had the sense to come around the corner with armor piercing loaded. That's what the Thunderer could and should have done, but, well, you know, British battleships, they all seem to just load high explosive by default, even the Thunderer with its 18-inch armor piercing shells, so what are you going to do? The Preußen now also has his hydro running, and you can't really angle against the Preußen shells, although at best you can present a narrow target profile and just hope he misses, and he did. The Shimakaze finally nailed that enemy sub. The friendly sub has just flipped that central cap. You know, just a couple of minutes ago, that team were 300 points or more ahead, with 2 of the 3 cap circles, and at least a 1 kill advantage. They're all fast ships. They had half of the map and numerous islands to hide from spotting and torpedoes. But, and you see it happen so many times, simply winning just wasn't good enough. Some people just have to win harder. And look where it's got them. And that is going to be kill number 6. And a win for Ramazan. Ably assisted, it has to be said, by Jojo Potato in the Shimakaze and Zanath in the U-190. And, of course, also ably assisted by the enemy team, without whose attempts to win harder than they needed to, that would almost certainly have been a loss. But of course, the lion's share of the credit must go to Ramazan himself, because, hey, let's face it, 6 kills and 280,000 damage, even in the Minotaur, is pretty impressive. So, well done. Now go and have yourself a nice lie down and give your back a rest, because you probably need it after that game. And everyone else, I hope you enjoyed it, because that is it for today. Take care, stay safe, and I'll catch you next time.